All right, guys, we are back on Play It Forward with Denise Papas Meechan, director, writer, producer, Freckles. Thank you, Denise, for being on the show.
Thank you, Kosti, for having me.
Very happy to have you. Freckles, intense film, not easy to watch. It was challenging, and this intense theme of social ostracization plays through it and turns really ugly and violent. And there's a lot of thematic content that I'm look forward to talking to you about. The first question to play it forward is the germinal idea. Where did it come from in your life?
Um, actually, 28. 28 was the inspiration for the film. 28 is the number of minutes the average woman spends staring at a mirror. And um, the mirror acts as like a ventriloquist for like the fashion and the beauty and the social media marketing gurus, because the mirror is there telling her she's ugly, she's fat, her hair is too thin, her lips are too big, her freckles are uh, it's a disease. And that tells her that because a woman with low self-esteem is a really good customer. So I feel like women are bombarded with negative concepts of how they look, no matter what they look like. These are very beautiful women being told that they're ugly and that there's something wrong with them. Because if they don't believe that, then they can't contribute to this marketing. And that's what kind of inspired Freckles. Is that I believe freckles are super cute. I think they're a great, attribute to any woman. It's unique, it's beautiful, it's different, but I kind of wanted something to express how even something that's beautiful is then turned on a woman so that she feels inadequate and feels like it's something that she needs to get rid of or change.
Two follow-ups there. The 28 minutes, is that like daily or is that
Oh, I'm sorry, 28 minutes a month
a month?
is what a woman spends in front of the mirror,
Okay. Okay.
probably picking herself apart like
Okay.
I do.
I would say I probably spend 28 minutes in front of the mirror easily per month. Um, Interesting. I think the strongest thing that I just heard is that a woman with low self-esteem is a very good customer. And, I don't know if that's by design in our marketing media society or just by the nature of the animal, you know. I don't think there's necessarily malicious people,
Mm,
but I think their intentions and the way the market is driven can easily become that. And clearly, you know, you are a female. You identify with, being a female, especially in
mm,
our time. I think,
mm.
so I feel I'm old. I got to ask that, now. Um, but I would, I've assumed so. And it's just like, I couldn't imagine what it would be like growing up a woman in America and being bombarded by the imagery. There's no doubt that I have a daughter. She's 3 years old. We're like, television screens or, she's not seeing that until she's 16, phones. To go back to that question though, you must have faced that in your life. And freckles, I can only imagine, would be some sort of has to come out of your own experience. So I'm wondering, how did it come out of your own experience? I mean, you wrote it, right?
Right, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
um well, talking about old, i'm I grew up and there wasn't social media, and I don't know if I could have survived that.
Yeah.
Because uh you know I got it every month when I got Vogue and all those magazines that came monthly. to my door, and then that I get that whole I feel inadequate and I'm not going to ever be this pretty. And and beauty standards change. So, blonde hair's in, then dark hair's in, then big eyebrows are in, then whatever. So any at any month there's going to be something that you feel like you need to change. So I was imagining like poor kids now, like your daughter, she's gonna if she gets on Instagram or whatever, she's facing that every day, and I don't know how a kid would survive that. And that was something that was going through my head when Freckles, I mean, it causes her to become violent because I don't know where that goes. I don't know where all the negative constructive criticism goes when it goes inside a girl or a boy's brain. I mean, how do you get rid of it, and when's it going to break?
Well, I think the intensity of the media and the in our society, and probably the generation that we're similarly coming from, um, maybe not too far off, is um, was definitely more intense for women, young girls. I mean, boys had their own kind of thing of being, uh, athletic or I don't know, good looking or handsome or whatever those features
Mm-hmm.
were, and that made somebody attractive socially. And I think that's like here we are. We have this character. She's independent young woman. She's living alone. She's coming out of adolescence, and she is still like most of us were at that point in our lives, very much like having to deal with the forces of adolescence and work a lot of that out through. And she is self-identifying herself with her freckles, right? She could self-identify differently. She could say
Mm-hmm.
these freckles are amazing. I love these freckles. But I think, you know, and that's one thematic piece that came through for me beyond the cultural kind of interplay of like society versus the individual and the differences and the separation, but like our own self-imposed separation when we have a strong identity of ourselves as this one thing. Like if I'm filmmaker, or if I'm Costia, this whatever it is that I think I am, this man, and I'm a entrepreneur, and I'm a this and that, then I'm labeling and defining myself into a separate category from the rest. And that's going to cause some distance, even if, I'm think those things are good. And in this
Mm-hmm.
case, the character doesn't. So I guess that's kind of a long-winded way of trying to get into the message of the movie. What do you think is the message of the movie? Maybe when you kind of take some of what I said about identity and factor
Mm-hmm.
that in.
Yeah, the identity is a good point because you said that you have a daughter, you're a parent. In the movie, Lizzie's mom would tell her, "Freckles are kisses from God." They're a positive attribute. They're a great characteristic, but she she chooses to internalize the negative one. And I don't know if negative is just easier to absorb or it weighs more, but that's what she chooses to see when she looks in that mirror. And you know, I think that the movie is difficult in to watch, and that's why I tried to like blend genre so that I mixed comedy, with the drama, and then sprinkled a little blood over it. Because I feel like that's what life is. It's messy. It's not completely com- how you said compartmentalized, but it's kind of like you have to take all this information that's coming in and how that's going to mix up and then blend into and like blend into in your brain as to that's now your self identity. And I feel like if the film does that, then the film will be like something that the audience will be able to think about after and come away with. I feel like a film should make people think, and then think about something needs to change, whether it's people or whether it's the world, and then let them do it. All the film's going to do is express the idea, and then hopefully people go away with it thinking something needs to change. And this is how I'm going to start that change.
What do you think if the character watched the movie that she would walk away thinking needed change?
Oh, unfortunately, I feel like she's so far gone. Um, I feel like she's the type of person that blames the outside. And I feel like the change is so much easier if it comes from within. And I mean, it's harder to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to look at this completely different than I used to. I'm going to look in the mirror and just think, oh yeah, so my nose is too big and that's beautiful. It's extremely hard, but if you want to make a certain change, I think it has to come from there. And then, then you build this armor so that the exterior stuff shooting at you isn't going to harm you as much. So hopefully she would change the way she looks at herself. But, you know, with everybody else saying the opposite, it's going to be hard.
What about you as an audience member watching the movie? What do you feel, you know, needs changing?
I mean, I understand why marketers are doing this. I understand that they need to make money. And I do think that it's easier to make money off of somebody with low self-esteem because it's easier to sell them a change and a quick fix. But, there has to be another voice that's coming that's just more rational, that's telling women that, uniqueness is beauty. Like that's the thing about the freckles. It makes her unique. And that's what makes her beautiful. But people think that if they have to look like everything else and this cookie cutter little beauty, it's not pretty anymore. And then everybody wants to see something unique and different. And I guess it's got to be another voice saying like, whatever makes you different is that's what's making you beautiful.
I connect, and what I find inspiring and the things that you've just relayed is that you put responsibility on both sides. There's the individual that needs to take responsibility for the way they see themselves and to empower themselves. You said, she's a type of person that just sees negative and continues it. And there's the responsibility of the greater context, society, the social animals, people, individuals, collectively, to change the way that they conduct business
Mhm.
and and operate within social structures like schools.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I think that's a big, powerful message of the movie is take responsibility before it's violent and you can't do anything, and the innocent get hurt. I mean, that's the interesting thing, that the person, the innocent bystander is the one who's victimized. She's victimizing herself and then takes it out on this other person.
Yeah, I think he sort of embodies her last chance at love kind of thing. So it's like,
Sure.
he embodies her last hope. And when that's dead, I mean, where is her anger going to go? And like I said, she's not one that's going to blame herself. She's going to take it out on, the world that's been, as she sees it, been dragging her down.
Right.
So that's why the poor guy gets it.
Yep. Yep. That was clear, so if you had to say, I guess, you know what is the message of the movie? What would you say?
Um, I think the message of the movie is um, to kind of sit back and look at how we react to things. We react to messages every day. We get influx by all this information, and we have a tendency to take everything very personally when honestly nobody thinks that much about you, right? So I think the message would be like, sit back and think of like, okay, process everything that's coming in, but use a different pair of glasses to look at it from a different way so that you don't take everything and internalize it. Like it's not all your fault and it's not all about you, but you have power to fix things, to change things, and to not take it, build a wall and say, you know what, say what you want. It's not going to affect me. But I think that's it's a lot easier when you get like my age and you're older and you're tired of it. Somebody, younger, I feel like that's just, I mean, you feel like you're so integrated into the world that it means so much. Especially like high school. It is everything is seems that big, but step back and realize it's really not. And you know what? In 10 years, it's really not going to matter that much if somebody thinks, your nose is too big or your freckles are ugly. I don't.
We kind of answered the question that I was thinking, but you said another pair of glasses. What would those pair of glasses be?
I think they'd have like a really wide lens. I think it would be like, it would take you back, step you out of it, and like, I feel like if we're not in the center, okay, we're not always in the center. Everyone's the protagonist of their own life, but the person next to you is the protagonist of his life or her life. And step back and realize that like this is these people are working and moving without you around, and not everything they do has to reflect on you. So I think that next pair of glasses has it's a very wide angle.
Great. I like that. Um, Last question is, since making the movie, how have you changed as a person?
Well, I think the movie made me learn a lot, and it kind of goes into like your philosophy, Kostia, like the play it forward kind of thing, because I didn't know what I was doing when I had artist friends that wanted to do something and I would support them. And I always made sure I would support them in any way like I could. I could work on their film, I could help produce it, I could, do props or set design or anything that anybody needed. I wanted to be there to help them. And what I didn't realize is that then when I needed it, then when I wanted to make Freckles, I called in all those favors that I've been doing for the last 10 years. And so Freckles was like a micro budget. I think it was a little over 4 grand to make that movie. And that was just because I had all these people that I had once helped, for no intention, not realizing that, oh my God, now I have something that I want to say. And those people were like, well, let me help you say that because you helped me tell my story when I needed to. And so, like, I think I kind of learned that, like, I learned karma. I learned, whatever you put out there, you don't know when, but it's going to come back. And it could take 10 years to come back, but it's going to come back when you really need it. So I feel like now it's like, I, I think giving, I learned to give more because I didn't realize back then that like giving is what you're going to need when you need something. Because then people are going to be like, you know what? I do remember you were kind of helpful and you're going to need to say something. So I want to help you. So I think I learned to believe more in karma and paying it forward like you do.
That's great. Thanks so much, Denise Papas Meechan, filmmaker. Um, I really appreciate everything you've shared. And the movie is Freckles, and it's a really important message. Thanks for being on the show.
It was a pleasure, Kostia. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. All right, we'll talk until next time. Bye bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.